Hey everybody, this is MonteCristo, and today's hot take is brought to you by DJ Esports. You can earn up to 800k USDT in the free-to-enter DJ Esports Worlds Prediction Series. Sign up with the link in the description and get 400 DJT free. We're halfway through the group stage right now, done with one round robin. And my hot take is that this year, 2021, might be the worst performance in League of Legends history by North American teams. The LCS is coming into this World Championship with extremely high ambitions. Teams have spent an extraordinary amount on players, obviously with major moves, multi-million-dollar moves during the offseason. And on paper, the teams of Cloud9, 100 Thieves, and Team Liquid should be, on an individual performance level, the best teams that North America has ever fielded at Worlds. Pound for pound, you look at these individuals, teams that are now composed entirely of import players, such as 100 Thieves, and you would expect there to be a strong performance. And it's not just that it seems unlikely that any of these North American teams get out of groups. I mean, we saw that last year at the 2020 World Championship. It's that these teams, there's just so much more that could be expected by them. Cloud9 has the greatest Western player of all time in Perkz and is loaded with individual talent, but they just can't seem to get their teamwork or even philosophy of how to approach the game together. They're not on the same page. Team Liquid has always had an extremely strong core roster with even former World Championship players like CoreJJ. And we come to 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves obviously made a big move in the mid-season to get Apodaca and are the reigning LCS champions. So you'd expect, at least one of these teams to make it out of groups, but there are a variety of circumstances, including all of these teams' underperformances so far at Worlds, that are really holding them back. So to look at these circumstances, part of it, for some of these teams is the group they were placed in. After coming in from play-ins, Cloud9 gets put in probably the hardest group with two potential championship contenders in Damwon Kia and Fun Plus Phoenix in there, as well as Rogue, who has historically done very well in best of ones in the regular season in the LEC, and in a double round robin best of one format, you would expect Rogue to have the edge, and we already see that in their victory over Cloud9 in that first round robin. Now, 100 Thieves, you'd think that this would be somewhat of a potentially escapable group. Now, it's unlikely that they were going to beat LPL champions EDG, but T1, based on kind of a shaky playoffs and gauntlet performance, seemed like it might be doable. And they got the gift of Detonation Focus Me, maybe the weakest overall team from the play-ins coming into the group stage, in spite of the fact that they did manage to finish first place in their play-in group. Now, with this in mind, unfortunately, 100 Thieves was kind of hindered by circumstances outside of their control in the fact that their jungler closer could not actually get a visa early on to boot camp. And so the team itself was left for several weeks in Europe, not being able to actually scrim with their full roster and relegated to kind of just doing European solo queue, which is better than the North American solo queue, but is hardly a great way to prepare for a world championship. Now, still possible they might make it out if they can maybe beat T1 and DFM in their next 3 games. They can at least probably force a tiebreaker with T1 if T1 also loses to EDG. So there is a glimmer of hope here, and I do think that 100 Thieves do have the talent in order to take out T1, but they need to step up, particularly Apodaca in the mid lane, if they're actually going to make that happen. And it might be tough considering that Faker is his opponent, and while Faker is no longer at the peak that he used to be, he's still a really great player and certainly steps up in high-pressure situations like Worlds. Now, finally, Team Liquid. This group is a little bit surprising in the results so far, especially with Gen.G doing so well. But then again, Gen.G is a team that does tend to do well in low-stakes situations. We see that in most of the LCK regular seasons that we've seen. They went 5-1 in the group stage last year to top their group with this exact same roster, and then actually just got knocked out very easily in a best-of-5, which is typically where we see Gen.G falter. So Gen.G maybe should be expected to do well to get out of this group. Mad Lions also coming out of an extremely strong European LEC playoffs, a very dominant run to win the title. but they've been underperforming. So it looked like, well, pound for pound, Team Liquid's excellent players might be able to squeeze out in second place in their group if things kind of fell their way. Unfortunately, outside of the first game that we saw from TL, it's been a little bit shaky from them overall, and it just doesn't seem like they are likely to get out, especially with Gen.G and LNG already 2-1. It's going to take a really strong second effort and maybe some lucky tiebreakers in order for Team Liquid to make it out. So, all that said, looking pretty dicey for North America here, and even though North American League of Legends teams have typically disappointed in international play, I think this would probably be categorized as the biggest world's disappointment of all time.